Wildlife ponds can be an amazing draw on your property, and today we're going to show you just a little bit quick scenario how we go about actually putting one of these ponds into a property. We're down here actually in central Kansas at Outfitter, Misty Morning Outfitters, getting some wildlife ponds in to give the deer a little bit more water, especially when you have drought conditions or maybe you don't have water nearby. These can be absolutely amazing draws wherever you are in the nation. So we're going to go step by step with the Mini, with some little odds and end tools and a liner, and we're going to show you how to do a synthetically lined pond, especially when we're here in sand country. So first thing we got to do is, all right, where are we going to put a pond? And that's honestly step one no matter what. Is obviously if you put something in place that's going to be there permanently, you want to make sure it's in the right spot. So what we got is right above there, that right there is our ladder stand. We got a little bit of a kind of a knoll right here, I guess you could say, that deer typically are on. Now we want to see, all right, we're going to be obviously putting in a synthetically lined pond. We need to make sure we get some water. So we have a naturally sloping area here that we're going to actually place the pond into, just to collect essentially all the water down in this area here to fill this pond, and then give the hunters obviously a beautiful shot right onto the pond here, probably about a 25-yard shot. So money, as long as they don't obviously hit the liner. So now we're going to go into the next step of marking out the pond, so then we can start hopping in to this guy behind us and get the pond dug. So what we're going to do now is, for step one, we're going to actually mark our area. So what I do is, we have a 20 by 20 pond liner from Wisconsin Lake and Pond Resource, and obviously since the pond liner itself is 20 by 20, we got to figure in the depth and how much liner we're actually going to lose. So what is our actual going to be, our blueprint, you could say, for marking. So what we usually shoot for is about a 4-to-1 slope, so it's gradual enough for the deer to get in. A little bit of depth as well, so we can get some good water quality. So essentially, given that we have a 20 by 20 liner, we're going to get about 2.5 feet deep. So for every 4 feet in, we gain a foot of depth. Given that it's 20 foot, we go 4 foot, there's a foot of depth, another 4 foot of depth. We only can go 2 feet then from one side to gain another half foot, and we do the vice versa on the other side. That's going to give us obviously our actual blueprint. So from there, since I know, okay, we're going to be shrinking that pond by that kind of footage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot for about a 15 by 15 blueprint to actually put that pond liner in. So what I'm going to do is, we're going to take the tape measure, some paint, we're going to mark out our circle, so then I can get going on the Mini. Okay, so we measured out our circle. We got a 15-foot circle here, and that's gonna be my blueprint when I start digging with the Mini. And once again, reason why we are smaller obviously than the 20 by 20 is we got to figure in that depth. I'm gonna get 2.5. I'm gonna try to get even 3 feet of depth in this to place this liner. But what's nice about this little basin here is we're gonna naturally catch all the rainwater that comes in this area, and then have a beautiful spot obviously to shoot from the stand there for any deer to come wandering over here. So with that said, it's time to break some ground. So we got obviously the blueprint done, and what we did is we cut in that essentially shape. Now you can see it's a little rough right now. We're going to do some finish grading. But one thing I do want to point out is, so whenever you're picking these spots, always know there's going to be a low spot. There's going to be some area where this line pond's going to overfill. It's going to spill out. So when we're looking at the grade of this area here, we have a higher grade in the back. It's where a lot of our runoff's going to come out. And this front area was quite a bit lower. So to get our depth, what we actually did is we built up this berm. You can see it's a little bit of a raise here, just so our low spot isn't so low over here where it's just spilling out. So this is where kind of in a way we got our water retention holding it back. But then also got to make sure it's a good approach for the deer. So you don't want this to be a big steep hump where they have to get in. So we have a pretty gradual slope, as you can see. You know, going down here, it shouldn't feel like you're falling on the face of the earth here. You know, so we're going in, we're about 2.5 feet deep. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab the liner, pull it, stretch it across, lock it all in place with some dirt, and then we're actually gonna cover it up with about 4 to 6 inches of actually this topsoil sand mix. So over there, overall, if you do have a gravelly base, rocks, stuff that way, this is all like more of a sand. You want to put an underlayment of fabric down to protect it. So we get the liner in place, and we'll go from there. So we got the liner in place, as you saw, and I just got in a mini, and what I did is I just got done placing all the dirt. So you can see this is actually the finished basin here. It's about 2.5 feet deep overall. The surface dimensions are about 15 by 15 for a 20 by 20 liner. And just want to show you how, I guess, you know, deep we're going with this soil. So, you know, we're down here, and you can see, you know, we have about, I mean, it's a good stand here, but go down, there's my liner. So we only have, you know, maybe 4 or 5 inches of actual soil in here. Picking stones and roots and stuff like that out of here just so they don't puncture the liner, but ultimately you don't need to cover much just to get the liner in place. First rain's going to really solidify all the substrate, so that way we don't have this all sloughed in and deer slipping and stuff that way. But overall, that's your finished pond. I know it's a little rough, but now a couple more rains, or I should say a couple rains here, and this pond will fill right up. So it doesn't take very long for them to fill up, but overall, I mean, I'm looking, I got this done in about an hour and a half. So sometimes I even go a little quicker if I wasn't videoing and all that stuff. But anyways, any questions, let us know. But get thinking on where you could put a pond. Definitely going to benefit you in the long run.